I have found myself over the years going back down that road of the negative, hateful spiral. And so has my best friend, because I've heard her on calls lately um, expressing thoughts that I'm like, hey, wait a minute, you've overcome that. Why is that back there again? I don't know if you want to share any of that, but for me, it's just there are moments when you start to doubt some of the new things you're telling yourself, and that's going to be normal, guys. Like if you run into this and you're like, oh yeah, all right, Jimmy and Brittany's got me all gung-ho, I'm going to change my mindset, it's going to be positive, no more hateful thoughts, and then whammo bammo, you wake up, stuff starts going wrong, you start to go down that deep dark path in your head because, oh yeah, by the way, guys, it's a default up here now. It's a default until you can somehow change the default to something positive. That negative, hateful thought that prevents you from getting to the change that you want, it's the default that when all your sensibilities about you are lowered and you're under stress and things happen in your life, you're going to go right back there again.
Yes, and so you have to work. It's a muscle. It's a muscle that you have to stretch and continue to build over time. So this very podcast that we're on right now, if I didn't have you, it might not be here because I'm so hard on myself and I doubt myself. And if it's not perfect, I won't do it. And so I have wanted to start a podcast on my own, or I've wanted to do this other project that you and I are working on for a long time. And every time I might get really excited about it to begin with. And then as that excitement just kind of fades and I have to start putting the work in and my perfectionist tendencies start to, and I start hating on myself and hating, then I just turn it off because I say to myself, well, I'd rather not hate myself, so I won't do anything at all. I'd rather not be so hard on myself, so I won't do anything at all. And so this podcast is a huge place for me in that imposter syndrome. And I tell myself, and you weeks over the last couple of weeks, well, I'm not good enough for this. And that's another hate spiral, really, of I'm not good enough for this, and I'm not this, and I'm not that. And you're just like, what the hell is wrong with you? Where did this come from?
Yeah, and with this other project we're working on that we haven't talked about yet, but we will in due course, you guys, is the same thing. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, just keep doing it. What do you mean you don't know what you're doing? Just keep doing it, because when the time comes, it's all going to come together. Because for me, I see, especially this podcast, I see how to take it, where to go, because I've been down this road. And I think having someone in your life, it helps we're friends as well, but someone in your life who can kind of mentor for you, that you can come at it from a different place than you're thinking. Like, I have perfectionist mindset and things, but not near like you do. And especially with something that's familiar to me as podcasting and this other project we're working on, I have lots of experience with that. So I can say, hey, look, you're on the right path. This is exactly what I went through. And yeah, I think sometimes the newness of things can send people down that path of destruction. And think about this. Think about all the people who could be making a difference in the world with ideas of wanting to do it, but because they come at it from a place of hate and I can't do that, I'm not qualified, who am I to be doing a podcast? And how much are we being robbed of what they could be giving us? I've had so many people write me and say, where's this Brittany been? I'm like, I know, because you're amazing, and I wanted them to see you, and took a venue of something that I can do in my sleep, podcasting, to get you out there. Then I'm glad you're out there now.
Yeah, I've been at my house hating myself. That's where I've been. Doing what I do best, right? Yeah, exactly. just and so breaking that cycle, it's been crazy. Touching back on what you're saying about having a friend, I have given permission to mostly three, but I have a fourth kind of backup. I have given them all permission to slap me in the face with their words. That's the best way to put it. Call me out on my shit. Don't sugarcoat. I am not a sugarcoat person. And I like people to be understanding with me, but at the same time, sometimes I need somebody to call me on my bullshit. So when I start down the hate spiral, my husband, I already told this story. I was in the mirror doing my hate thing, doing the thing that we learn as kids, specifically women. I know men do it as well, but I think maybe it's more prevalent within women. And so I was doing my thing, looking in the mirror, and I was hating on myself, and he just kind of grabs me, and he's like, "Stop talking about my wife like that." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, yeah." And then my 8-year-old kind of jolted me into reality. You do it unknowingly sometimes. You hate on yourself unknowingly. And it's good to recognize it. My 8-year-old had come in my room one day and was kind of looking in my mirror, doing the same kind of thing that I did. And she's like, "Mom, I just need to work out." And she started grabbing on her stomach, and I was like, oh no, my child has learned from me. Oh no, that song is coming to mind. Oh goodness. And that was really my wake up point of, all right, I might not always love myself, but I can't continue down this path. I can't show that to my children, and I can't. My husband's right. If he sits there and talks about himself that way, I'll do the same thing. Like, shut up, man. That's my husband. I love my husband. How dare you talk about him that way? And so, yeah, Jimmy, you're one of those that have the permission to call me on my bullshit.
And I do unapologetically.
Yes.
And vice versa. You call me on mine all the time too. Damn it. Yeah, I know. Because we have our moments, don't we? But you hit on something there I want to underscore. Because when we hate ourselves, we think it's only about us. It's not only about us. If you're married, that spouse, you're that wife to Wildman. You're mommy to Cammy, who looked at herself in the mirror. You're a lot of roles. You're the best friend to Jimmy Moore. Like, don't talk about my friend like that. Don't make me hurt you with a wet noodle. And we don't think of it in that terms. We always think about, well, this is my life and I can hate if I want, and not realizing that there's other people involved.
Yeah, and I mean, it hurts me when you start talking bad about yourself. It hurts me because you're my friend. And when my husband talks about, I don't know how he has put up with me talking so disgusting about myself for so long, because he can say one thing and I will jump on him like a spider monkey. I can't stand it. I'm like, no, that's my Chris Davis. That is my wow man. Don't you dare. Like, I just go into like mama bear mode. I can't stand it. And I guess because I've done it so hard to myself that I can recognize it very quickly in other people. And I never, ever want other people to experience what I've experienced with how much self-loathing I've carried over the years.
How much awareness do you think people have that they're hating on themselves? Because I think sometimes it becomes so normal that you don't even recognize you're doing it.
Yes, it's literally taught to us. It's something that you just do. I mean, when you look on TV and maybe not someone is going, "Oh, you should hate yourself." It's never that. It's these subliminal messages of you're not good enough. One that we hear often, it just popped in my head, is, "Oh, you'd be so much prettier if you lost weight."
Oh,
You know? And that's one of those backhanded things that people say, and that teaches you to hate yourself when you hear something like that, because that's basically them saying, well, you'd be so much more worthy if you were smaller. And so it's literally taught to us. These things are said over and over and over again of, oh, you have such a pretty face, and implying that your body is ugly. We hear these things. It's taught to us.
I wonder how much of that then you hear those things and then those things get reinforced by your own beliefs. And then you hear someone else say something and then that it just becomes this gets buried deeper and deeper and deeper into your subconscious to the point that then it becomes who you are. And people identify it. That's who I am because everybody says it. And I say it about myself, and all these people say it. It must be true. Nobody's refuting it anywhere, so it has to be true.
Yes, absolutely. And I've hated myself. I hated myself for so long that it affected my relationships. So my mother-in-law is an extremely confident person. And I have since learned to love and accept her right where she is. And I've just let a little bit of Mary rub off of me because I needed a little bit of it. But she doesn't hold self-hate. She's been through hell in her life. And she's like, hell yeah, I've been through that. And I'm strong as hell. And she's just a bad bitch. I love Mary. But I haven't always because I was jealous of her. I was jealous of that because I just hated myself so much no matter which way I turned and which way I looked. And so hating yourself, it can't feel change. What else has it? It can destroy your relationships around you. It can destroy how other people see themselves. Like hate is just this fuel that fuels the wrong kind of fire.
Well, and it's an energy, so I guess we get fueled by that, but we don't recognize always that it's not leading us down a good path. Like fire, just to give an example, fire can be destructive or it can be helpful. If you're trying to cook something and make a little fire and put a little stuff, and all this, it's good in that aspect. But if the fire spreads and is allowed to just go unabated, it's destructive in the worst way. So the fire in and of itself, the hate, like you said earlier, can fuel you to a degree, but at some point it will consume you.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes when you get to that point of it's just all consuming, it's really hard to come back from that point. When it's just overtaking your life so much that it's now shown up in all of your relationships. I believe that people hate themselves out of good marriages. I think people hate themselves out of good relationships with their children. They hate themselves out of ever taking care of their bodies because they hate themselves so much that they can't come out of that mindset. And so they just sit there fueling that fire. And like you said earlier, they find identity within that self hate and self loathing. And that's just how they walk through life.
So if somebody's recognizing themselves in what we're talking about here today, that's you. I see you there. Don't think we don't see you out there because we've been there. Both Brittany and I have been there and we still have our moments. It's not like, oh, you've arrived and you never hate yourself ever again. Yeah, screw that. We still do because Brittany and I walk each other off the ledge all the time with this. But there's people that do it a lot, and that might be you guys out there watching this or listening to this on the podcast. It's something we just want to make you self-aware. Just recognize the things that are happening in your own life and realize that they're not serving a good purpose. Are there signs people can be on the lookout for? Is it the self-talk? Is it, that they're saying things? It's got to be more than just that.
It shows up mostly in that way. I am really fidgety today. I apologize for that. I had a coffee right before. I'm just a little fidgety. I think, yes, the self-talk is one of the easiest ways to recognize it, to be aware of what you're saying to yourself. Also, if you are a mom or a dad and you notice it in your children and you notice it in the people around you, it's also a good indicator of just recognizing that, all right, this is an issue. All right, I am hating myself. All right, it is affecting my everyday life.
I wonder how much of a sign that everybody seems to be getting along in their life except for me, that kind of like feeling all alone and that kind of fatalism about life. That could be another sign that people could be on the lookout for. If it seems like the world's against you, I know people that they feel like the world is against them, and that has to be yet another sign of this.
Oh, absolutely.